Christian McCollum, Irish Sports Daily here with the newest member of the Notre Dame football family, 2022 Notre Dame or New Jersey quarterback commit, Steve Angeli. Steve, first of all, congratulations on the decision.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And obviously, you got offered by Notre Dame back in the summertime, and it was clear right from then that that was a school you were going to look at seriously. In the end, what was it about Notre Dame where you said this is a spot for me?
I mean, everything that, when I took a deep dive into really, figuring out what I really want in a school, what I want in a program and, what I want in a college experience. And, Notre Dame kind of checked every single box for me. I really, had a great connection with Coach Reese ever since our first conversation. And then, when they finally extended the offer, I got that special feeling that I really haven't gotten with any other school, and then just continuing to build our relationship, with Coach Reese and the entire offensive staff and everything. And just as the process went on and the dead period got pushed back, I really kind of sat down with my family and my trainers and my coaches and really wanted to kind of find a place for myself. Stuff was starting to people were starting to kind of pick spots and dominoes were starting to fall in a sense. And, I really felt like it was time for me, personally, and everything that Notre Dame had to offer, from a brand, from a culture aspect, the offensive scheme, my relationship with Coach Reese and everything that they had to offer and everything that they provided and just overall my connection to the school and to the people and everybody that I know that is a Notre Dame graduate or played football there, my numerous connections, it just felt like the right place for me.
Okay. So take us through the mechanics of it. It's last week. You're thinking, all right, I think now's the time. I think I'm going to do it. How do you go about, just take us through the mechanics of you coming to that decision and then relaying it to others and making it happen?
Just when Monday hit, I really was just kind of got a feeling and I was talking to my parents and I was like, Mom, I think I want to, do this. I was, in the midst of scheduling a couple trips to kind of have some self-guided tours and when I had a call with Coach Reese the week before that prior on that Tuesday. It was a great conversation. We talked for about an hour. My family was on there and we went through kind of another virtual visit, but it was more just a great conversation overall. We asked some tough questions. He gave us some great answers and made my family very comfortable as always and just strengthened our relationship once again. And when Monday came around and I was just talking to my parents, I was like, Mom, I think I want to kind of figure this out and I think Notre Dame's really the place for me. So I told my head coach, Coach Vito, and throughout that week, on Wednesday, he talked to Coach Reese about 3 times throughout the day, and then that night he gave me a call, and we were just going over and talking and everything, and I told him I wanted to commit to the University of Notre Dame, and he was ecstatic. He was super pumped, super happy for me, and just told me don't change, keep working, and everything has been great so far with him, and then on Thursday, we scheduled a Zoom meeting for Coach Kelly for me to make it official and commit to Coach Kelly. So when Thursday came around, my head coach is on there, my whole family, my 2 older brothers and my parents. We were on the call with Coach Kelly, Coach Reese. We were just kind of going through the entire process. I mean, it was a long, long process with Notre Dame. That they kind of covered every aspect of me, from a personal standpoint to a football standpoint, and just talking with Coach Kelly about, everything he saw in me and everything that he was going to do for me at Notre Dame and everything that, Notre Dame was going to provide me and help me develop and reach my goals. And in the end, I told him that, I'm 100% committed to the University of Notre Dame. And it was a great conversation overall, just, for us to connect and for, my family to hear from him. He was awesome.
All right. And your family, what was your family's reaction? Obviously, you got a lot of different kind of interesting connections to Notre Dame. What was their reaction? And maybe explain some of those connections.
Yeah, I mean, my mom, my dad, they were just so proud and so happy. As I said, it was a long process, and finally, I found the best fit for me. The place that I could call home for the next 4 years of my life as a student athlete, and they were just so happy that I picked a great school with great education and great football. I mean, as they say, graduating champions. That's their kind of motto, as Coach Kelly always says, and that's exactly what I want to be a part of. So they were just so happy, so proud for me. My brother Nick, he grew up, rooting for Notre Dame because of, my great uncle Pete. He won a national championship there in 1943, then, graduated in 46. So all the ties, that Uncle Pete is a household name in my family. And he was just so proud of me, seeing me grow up. And, my two older brothers are my best friends. And then Jack was on the call also. And, my brother Jack lives in Chicago, and he knows all about Notre Dame and everything. So he was so happy that I'll be out in the Midwest, and I'll be really close. And overall, my whole entire family was just so proud of me that I picked the best spot for me, and my bond with the coaches and with the program and all the connections I have. They were just super excited that I found the right fit, and that I'm gonna be at Notre Dame in the next 9 months coming up.
All right. I know Coach Vito pretty well, and I know how he feels about Notre Dame. He gets pretty fired up. He wants to play again whenever he talks about Notre Dame. What
Yeah.
was his reaction when you told him, "Hey, it's going to be Notre Dame, Coach"?
Coach, talking with Coach Vito, all along you kind of felt like, Notre Dame was the leader for me all along. And, he's been instrumental in my whole recruiting. Without him, none of this would have been possible. Everything that he's done for me and my family throughout the recruiting process. So when I told him that, I was ready to make this official, he was beyond excited, just talking about, everything that Notre Dame has to give and supply, from a great education to playing national championship football. And those are two of my big goals. And then obviously, to play for someone like Coach Kelly and Coach Reese, and be able to play under that Notre Dame brand, and be a quarterback at Notre Dame. He understands, the value and the weight that holds. So he was super proud of me just coming in as a freshman, and working through a lot of stuff in my high school career to be able to be put in this position. And when I told him that I made it official, he was so proud, and just know that he just knew that Notre Dame was the right spot for me.
Obviously, Coach Reese is your position coach. He's the offensive coordinator. He's kind of lead on the recruitment. But how about Coach McNulty? What kind of role did he play in the recruitment?
I mean, from right when Coach McNulty stepped into that role at Rutgers, and they were recruiting me, he only strengthened Coach Reese's belief in me. And when Coach McNulty was recruiting me at Rutgers, and when he offered me at Rutgers, he knew my family really well, and my family really liked him at the start. And for Coach McNulty to go to Notre Dame, and kind of continue that bond, and that just kind of strengthen even more ties to Notre Dame, just knowing somebody like him being in Jersey, and then now going out to South Bend. He told me that Coach Reese told me that Coach McNulty spoke very highly of me. And I think it only added to our relationship, and Coach Reese's trust in me and everything. So I mean, Coach McNulty played a really strong part in my recruitment to Notre Dame, to be able to kind of so-called go out on a little bit of a limb, and put his trust into me, and let Coach Reese know what I bring to the table.
Okay. Coach Reese had a pretty interesting comments on signing day for the 21 class in terms of evaluating quarterbacks. And one of the things he kind of talked about was, especially now when you can't really get too much in person, is trying to evaluate quarterbacks and like their mental makeup, how much they love the game, that kind of stuff. Did you notice that when he's talking to you? How does he go about finding that out about you? And do you realize like you're kind of being tested here?
Yeah, it's funny because every single conversation I got on with him, we really, he's, he's awesome. I mean, he's so transparent, and a straight shooter in a sense. So every conversation was meaningful, and it was, one of the better conversations that I have in my recruitment process. So every time getting on a call with coach, or any coach, especially with, what we were dealing with in COVID, I knew that this kind of every so-called call was going to be a little bit of an interview, and just kind of adding more to my portfolio of what they know about me and what I know about them. So going on every call with Coach Reese, he would ask tough questions, and I would, do everything I can to give him honest and good answers. And throughout the entire process, I mean, I had a feeling that, he was going to kind of, in a so-called test me, and kind of see, what I was made of, and try and dig down deep and figure out, like you said, how much I love football, how much I care about, what I do. And really try and figure out how that, if I was the right guy for, to be the next quarterback at Notre Dame. I mean, because, as he says, being a quarterback at Notre Dame, it holds a lot of value, and it's a really important role, and overall it becomes a lifestyle. That's what it was. And just every time that, we talked or we got on a Zoom and he made that known, and, he just tried to evaluate kind of every single thing about me, figure out, everything about me, and overall just figure out who I was as a person, like aside from football, just who I was as, a guy in the locker room, a man, a son, a brother, and a teammate. That's really what he was trying to figure out the most, to see, how I was when you take off that helmet and you take off that jersey.
Okay. X's and O's wise, what does Coach Reese see you as a fit, and what do you see about Notre Dame's office that makes
Yeah,
you a fit for them?
from our first conversation, we were talking about, what he's looking for in the 2022 class. He was looking for, a bigger type of guy, someone that kind of fits, the stature of what I do, and someone who can make every throw on the field is a leader in a sense, but a guy who could, run a high level offense, be able to kind of have the keys to the car in a sense, and be able to do what he wanted to from a quarterback standpoint, having the quarterback run game, playing under center, play action pass in the gun, spread, multiple tight end sets. He made sure that I was very multiple in what I could do. And, he made sure that I checked every box and what he wanted to do, and going over tape and film, and just my control of the game, he said, and kind of how, I'm in command of the offense, and I'm able to orchestrate, 11 guys in a great manner, and kind of lead that offense down the field. Those are kind of the biggest things on the board from X and O standpoint. And then just talking with him, we used to just chop it up about how the season was going, what he was seeing, and me watching almost every game, just seeing what was going on, and the play calls and stuff like that. And he was really able to kind of, both of us were able to kind of pick each other's brains, and see what he was seeing, what I was seeing, and just, as a quarterback, you got to be just as engaged on the board as you are on the field.
All right. You talked about it a couple of times, but how difficult was it to go through this recruiting process, at such an unprecedented time with, such a dead period? Obviously, you were able to do some self-guided tours, like you mentioned. I know you went to Notre Dame, but, that in-person contact is kind of, removed, as well as like a real visit. How difficult was it for you to go through this?
It was tough. I mean, it was really tough. Who knows if my commitment would have came later or earlier, if everything was opened up, but it was hard. I mean, you really had to sit down, gather as much information as you could, in a sense, do your homework, and figure out everything you could about a school and those people, without being able to sit down, tour the facilities, talk to players, and be around kind of the culture of the locker room. I think that, any school you go to, kind of seeing what the players say, and what the culture is like in the locker room is hard to do when you're not able to do it, with COVID going on. So taking those self-guided visits, just kind of getting my own bearings for everything going on, was great. That really helped. But for Notre Dame, I just knew so many, current players and former players, that I was able to kind of get that sense for what the culture in the locker room was, without even having to be there. Because, I've known guys like, Justin, Jason Adamola, Shane Simon, Brandon Wimbush, Quentin Nelson. I've known those guys since I was a little kid and my brother was playing football. So knowing how those guys grew up, knowing how much they love football, and just knowing the people they were, it was easy for me to kind of understand the culture, and understand, how everything, went at Notre Dame, and what they expected, and just how well that, or how great of people they were, but also how great of football players they were.
All right. And from the start, when we started talking, you never really defined a timeline, but you always made it clear that you were hoping to be able to come up with a decision sooner than later, and you weren't going to wait because it was important to you to start recruiting other guys to come along with you. So, now that you're committed, you got the decision made. Who are some of those guys right now you got your eye on, to bring them to South Bend with you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, the guys that I'm looking to bring first and foremost are, my teammates, Jaden Gould, Jaden Bellamy. Those are big targets on the Notre Dame board, and I know they're instrumental in getting into their program. But, talking to the commits and everything like that, just talking about who we're going after, Coach Reese, giving me kind of a list of guys on the offensive side of the ball that they want to go after. I mean, some of the guys that, I already reached out to, and had a great conversation with, Nicholas Singleton, Dalen Hayden, Gavin Sawchuk, Eli, Raridon, Holden States, Emil Wagner, Jake Taylor, George Fitzpatrick, my guys from Boone like Tyler Morris, Caleb Brown, Carnell Tate, Amari Walker, Andre Green, Caden Saunders. Hopefully, we can get him to kind of flip his decision. We'll see where that goes. CJ Williams, Jay Fair, and one of the, kind of the closer guys that I am with before even, committing to Notre Dame is Sebastian Cheeks. He's been a great guy. I was talking to him for a while. The linebacker from California,
Junior.
DJ, yeah, DJ, a couple other guys, just trying to get in great contact and let those guys know that I'll be their leader for this class. I'll be the guy that they can go to for anything, and just doing my best to solidify this class and get everything we can out of the 2022 class, and bring great people and national championship players to South Bend.
That's great. Like you said, you have some relationships with some of those guys from Midwest Boom.
Yeah.
Been playing with them for a couple months now. What's that experience been like?
It's been awesome. I mean, playing with some of the best talent in the Midwest and some, high level targets for Notre Dame has been amazing. I mean, Tyler, Carnell, Caleb, a couple other guys, that are really skilled receivers that are great people also too. It's been awesome to be able to build those relationships and just have those opportunities to go play high level football all year round and just compete. I think that's the best thing, and just build relationships with those guys has really helped, Notre Dame's chances and my chances of, bringing them to South Bend.
All right, you talked about Coach Vito, his help in your development. How about your personal quarterback, Matt Bastardi? I mean, how's he helped you over the years?
I mean, Coach Basari has done everything for me. I mean, he has a video of my first time, working out with him, throwing the football. I mean, me and him have come a long way from going on, 7, 8 years now. I mean, he's like family to me, honestly. I mean, he's helped me in so many ways, it's unexplainable. I mean, just sharpening my mechanics every day, just helping me throughout the recruiting process, teaching me everything about the game from a quarterback standpoint, the X's and O's and coverages, progressions, reads, footwork. I mean, he's done it all for me, and I mean, he's turned me into the player I am today, and just helped me progress and get better every time I'm with him. And during the season, always helping me, with tape and stuff like that. He's just a call away, and he's always picking up my calls to help me in every way he can. I mean, he's family to me now.
Okay. Now, a lot of times with these big time, huge quarterbacks who end up going to the upper echelon schools, their whole high school career, they're just sitting there as the starter coming all the way through. But, at a school like Bergen Catholic, they just don't hand you the keys right off the bat. So, I mean, you had to kind of sit there, wait your turn, and then you obviously took advantage of it this year. What was that process like coming in, being a guy who already has major offers and still having to kind of wait your turn?
I mean, it was definitely not easy, but I mean, there's not many guys that I think would have done it. If it were easy, I think everybody would have been able to do it, but it wasn't. It was definitely hard. Just waiting my shot, just staying patient and just putting in the work. I mean, people aren't going to see what you do in the weight room, what you're doing, with your trainers and after hours, staying on the field, after practice, just trying to do everything I can to know when my shot came, and when they were ready to turn it over to me, that I was ready and I was going to make the most of it. So everything that I had to go to, all the adversity I experienced, I think it turned me into the player I am today, and just taught me so many lessons that I'm able to turn into kind of use when I'm going through things, and I know how to overcome a lot of stuff from kind of waiting my turn and kind of experiencing the adversity of going in for some plays. But overall, I just wanted to do whatever coach told me to do at that time. I was doing whatever he thought was best for the team, and whatever role I had in that offense during that time, I was going to do it to the best of my ability.
How rewarding was it to get in there this year, have the keys, lead your guys to number one state in the state? How rewarding was it?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, it was kind of a story that I wanted that the way to end like that, and we had one tough loss throughout the season, but that one loss taught us a lot of things. Especially myself. That was my first game I ever lost as a starter in my life, all the way from up to Pop Warner. So finally to kind of earn my way to that spot, and finally be the starter of that team, and be the guy in that locker room that's the leader, and kind of, gain the trust of my teammates, and just kind of orchestrate that offense to be able to, finish number one in New Jersey. I mean, it's definitely rewarding, but, we, for me, it's just getting started. I got one more year to kind of go out and do it again. But overall, we as a team, it was amazing, to be able to play with those guys. I love my guys in the locker room, my coaches, and to be able to be put in that position and finally earn that position and go out and do what I knew I was capable of. It's extremely rewarding and, definitely awesome.
How much are you looking for? Obviously, you're excited about Notre Dame, or you wouldn't have made that decision. But how much are you looking forward to this next year, and getting a chance to go out there with your boys and do it one more time?
I mean, I can't wait. I mean, as Bergen Catholic as a school and also as a program, I mean, we expect to finish number one in the state every time, and we know what it takes. We know what it takes to win state championships. We've done it before, and it takes a lot of work. A lot of grind, a lot of sacrifice. But I feel the team we have coming back has a lot of great players. A lot of great people also, and our coaches I feel like are going to do a great job and kind of doing what we can to play to our strengths and be able to kind of do it again. I just can't wait to get back out there and get the season rolling.
Steve, man, we can't thank you enough. Thanks for doing this. Congratulations on your decision. Irish fans are definitely going to be following you throughout the rest of your career at Bergen Catholic and moving forward to South Bend. So, congrats again, and thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Go Irish.